What's going on, horror fanatics? I am Marcus. Welcome to our Shop 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel. In this video, I will be sharing a theory that I have in regards to how Scream 7 will write the Carpenter sisters from the last two films out of the upcoming 7th installment. If you're a fan of Scream and other horror movie related content, please shoot the video a like. It helps feed the YouTube algorithm. And if you are a new viewer to the channel, shoot that subscribe button followed by the bell icon for all content updates. Alright everyone, so outside of whether Stu Macher is going to be alive or not in Scream 7, the biggest question mark going into the film is how will Scream 7 explain the Carpenter sisters' absence in the movie. Now, in Scream 6 when Sidney wasn't present due to nevecampbell not being compensated properly, I felt the way they wrote her out of the story for Scream 6 made a lot of sense because at that point, she wasn't the main focus of either Scream 5 or 6's killer. Sam Carpenter was. So by writing her out the way they did, by having Gale tell the sisters Sidney is taking her husband and kids to a safe place, she deserves to have her happy ending, I thought that was a job well done by Guy Busick and James Vanderbilt because it was simple, effective, and easy to understand. Now, given the circumstances surrounding both melissabarrera and jennaortega's departure from Scream 7, the ending for Scream 6 makes a ton of sense. In regards to playing into the notion that the Carpenter sisters storyline is over, they defeated the killers donning the Ghostface costume who made them, especially Sam, the main targets in these last two films, and that they are simply walking away from having to deal with someone dressed as Ghostface coming after them again. So in hindsight, you would be right to assume that Scream 7 would double down on this notion, explaining that the sisters are absent because these new murders have nothing to do with them and that they are moving on from this aspect of their lives. However, given how close the sisters and the Meeks-Martin twins had gotten in Scream 6, with Chad and Tara even getting romantically involved, one has to question what happened to the dynamic between the core four since Scream 6's events. And if Chad and Mindy are targets in this new killing spree, why wouldn't the Carpenter sisters be present to have their backs? I believe I may have an idea as to why the sisters won't be around to help the twins based on the rumors surrounding the twins' role in the upcoming 7th installment. A couple of months ago on X, Scream News were going to post this rumor regarding Galeweathers and the Meeks-Martin twins, stating that they heard that Chad and Mindy will be working for Gale in Scream 7, with Chad being Gale's cameraman and Mindy working as a reporter of sorts. Now again, this is just a rumor, this has not been confirmed, take it for what you will, but let's play into the rumor and say that the twins are working for Gale. It's interesting because when you go back and watch films 5 and 6, Gale hardly interacted with the twins, despite them being the niece and nephew of Randy Meeks. She mainly interacted with the Carpenter sisters, who would also attempt to try to save her from being killed by Ghostface in her apartment, not the twins. So, if this rumor is true, the question is, how did Gale and the twins get close to the point of having a working relationship? Well, we all know that Galeweathers can be a very manipulative and charming individual to say the least, and that she will add narratives to the story of what actually transpired that aren't true. So in my opinion, I believe it's very possible that Gale wrote a new book based on the murders that took place in New York, or she was able to get a true crime documentary made, which Gale had noted in Scream 6 was the type of content filming studios were looking for in regards to failing to sell the Stab movie rights, recapping the entire history of Ghostface murders, and that Chad and Mindy not only helped her with the project, whether it is a book or a docu-series, but in the process, much like Gale did to Sam in the aftermath of Scream 5's events, made up false narratives about the sisters that differ from who they really are, and that this is what led to the core four going their separate ways, and explains why the sisters will not be present during these new murders to help Gale, the twins, and everyone else involved. Now, some will ask the question, why would Chad and Mindy betray the Carpenter sisters in this fashion, especially with Chad and Tara's relationship becoming more than friendship? Well, in my opinion, it's not hard to imagine, after nearly being killed twice because of the sisters, that Gale manipulated the twins into believing that they would forever be targets of Ghostface because of Sam being the daughter of Billy Loomis, and that continuing to have a relationship with the sisters at some point will get them killed. It's also not hard to imagine Gale manipulating the twins into believing that Sam herself could wind up turning out just like her father. Remember, in her book, Gale wrote that Sam was unstable and a born killer, which could mean Gale herself didn't trust Sam to completely avoid her killer instincts from within based on her family's murderous history. So I know that some fans may not be on board with this idea as a way to write off the Carpenter sisters in Scream 7, but I implore you to look at it from this perspective. We may never get another Scream movie following the Carpenter sisters storyline based on the direction the franchise is heading. So implementing this idea would make sense to not only write these characters out of Scream 7, but the franchise entirely, much to my dismay, especially if Chad and Mindy die in Scream 7. Scream 6's ending alone, regardless of what we know was supposed to happen with the Carpenter sisters characters in the 7th film, was a solid enough ending to have these characters ride off into the sunset and close out their story. Another reason why this idea works for the 7th film is because then it makes Sam and Tara formidable red herrings that are not present in this film physically, but mentally. As we all know, usually the killers in Scream movies turn out to be someone that we see present in the film. So by going with this idea, it creates a dynamic that would be fresh, because having two characters that were in previous films that aren't present in the new film be red herrings would be something that we haven't seen before and would make guessing who the actual killers are more difficult, because we have this idea in our minds that the sisters could be behind the new murders because of Chad and Mindy's betrayal. You could say Gale betrayed the sisters as well, but Gale is known for being shisty, so the sisters wouldn't be that much surprised by Gale's betrayal. It's the twins betraying them that would mean the most to their red herring status, because they didn't see it coming, as Mickey Altieri would say. In closing, it will be interesting to see what creative has planned in regards to how they explain the Carpenter sisters' absence. I personally think they will not only write them out of Scream 7, but the franchise entirely, and that unfortunately, we will forever be left wondering what could have and should have been in regards to ending that storyline in a better way than how it was ended in Scream 6. I also think it will be interesting to see how different the Meeks-Martin twins will be now that they have aligned themselves with Galeweathers, and if their characters will be the ones to explain what happened to the Carpenter sisters, and if they are the reason their bond has been broken. But okay everyone, that is it for the Scream 7 theory video. Leave a comment down in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts and opinions. How do you think the sisters will be written out of Scream 7, and do you think the way it's done will exile them from the franchise entirely? Do you like the idea of Gale manipulating the twins to betray the Carpenter sisters in the form of telling falsehoods about them? And if this turns out to be how the sisters are written off, are you okay with the sisters being used as red herrings as a way to distract us from who the real killers are in Scream 7? Once again, I am Marcus, and this is Sham 6 Times YouTube Horror Movie Channel. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media platforms. Thank you all for watching.